Okay, good day to everyone. I think we should start now. Okay. Again, a pleasant day to everyone, and we thank you for taking time out to attend our webinar today. Actually, the 26th offering under the Tuesdays with MEFIN webinar series. And today we have a very interesting topic, which is on InsurTech innovations and their impact on the insurance industry. We have lined up for you some very interesting presentations. And in order to get the webinar going, I'd like to call on our program director of RFPI Asia 3, Dr. Volker Steigerwald, to give the welcome remarks. Volker?
Yes, thank you, Ronnie. A pleasant day to everyone. I'm Volker Steigerwald, the Program Manager of RFPI Asia 3, and it's my great pleasure to welcome all of you to this already 26th episode of Tuesdays with MEFIN. Our featured topic, as Ronnie already mentioned, is one of great interest and relevance given global developments. InsurTech innovations and their impact on the insurance industry. Given the fast pace of technological advances and the need for companies to be competitive, InsurTech has been predicted as a major driving force that would greatly influence the way business will be done in the insurance industry in the future. Innovations such as blockchain, sandboxing, smart contracts have become buzzwords in the industry, and quite a number of companies have actually explored and adopted them in their operations. And then the pandemic struck. Face-to-face transactions, which were the norm in all industries, became extremely difficult, if not impossible to do. Global supply chains were disrupted, and the insurance industry was not spared of this. Thus, the insurance industry is now on a fast-track mode in adopting InsurTech in their operations. For insurance to remain relevant and to establish front-runner impact, new competencies are essential as innovative digital products, platforms, and data-driven hyper-personalization takes place. These, supported by a proactive regulatory environment, are keys to remaining competitive in the so-called New World Order. Today, RFPI Asia 3 and MEFIN are pleased to have three experts in the field of InsurTech who will share with us the innovations they have successfully developed and used, which have made them trailblazers in the industries, in the insurance industries of their respective countries. We are sure that you will be able to pick up new knowledge and information which can be useful in your respective organizations' efforts to adopt technological innovations. With that, I would like to thank you all for taking time to attend our webinar, and we wish you a very productive and interactive session.
Thank you very much, Volker, for setting the tone for our webinar. Okay, and Shine, could you just move the slide, please? So before we go into the meat, as they say, of the webinar, we'd just like to do some guidance, particularly some guidelines for this webinar being online. So the first one is, may we request you to turn off your mics and webcam in order to conserve the internet bandwidth and to allow for an uninterrupted webinar. Second is, if you have questions, please post them in the chat. The moderator will pick them up during the Q&A session. We have a Q&A session, as you will see later, and all questions we prefer to have them through the chat feature of this of MS Teams. And the slides will be shared after the event via email and the MEFIN Facebook group. Okay, so Shine, please. I just want to show you the agenda. We just had the guidance. And in a few minutes, we'll be starting with the panel discussions already. So we have actually lined up three panel discussions with, and sorry for this, actually we have four now. We have four presenters. The first one will be tackling the topic enabling alternative distribution channels to upsell insurance via a click. So yeah, very timely. And this will be done by Mr. Sharian Raj, the co-founder and CEO of Senang Insurance Malaysia. After that, we will have the second presentation, which will focus on learnings from Hong Kong's first virtual insurance company. And this is no other than Mr. Michael Chan, the co-founder and the co-CEO of Bowtie Life Insurance Company, Hong Kong. And the third presentation, actually, is also very interesting since it's tied up to the MEFIN PPD5 in Sri Lanka, is the Ethereum blockchain journey since the aforementioned MEFIN PPD5. And we have actually the pleasure of two of their top honchos joining us for the presentation. We have Mr. Michel Berende, their Chief Inclusive Officer, and Mr. Jan Stockhausen, the Chief Legal Architect of Ethereum Impact BV, and this is based in Netherlands. Okay, so this is from 3:05 to roughly 3:30. After that, we have the open forum where the questions that you posted will be asked to our panelists. We seek your understanding if there's quite a number of questions. It will be basically a first come, first serve basis, as we have only roughly 15 minutes for the Q&A. But the other questions that we will not be able to ask, we will forward them to our presenters. And once we get replies from them, we will be forwarding them or posting them in the MEFIN website so that you could get the answers to your questions. Okay. And before we close at around 3:55 or 3:54, a Menti survey will be done, and we would enjoin everyone to take part in the survey since this is our basis for coming up with future webinars or future topics in our webinars. And finally, we have the closing, which will be done by Mr. Wasim Khan on behalf of Mr. Hasnat Ahmed, the MEFIN Regional Steering Committee Chair. Okay, so that's our agenda. And I think all of you are now eager to go into the panel discussion. So, Shine. Okay, as I mentioned, these are our four panelists. Can we move to the next slide, Shine? And our first panelist is Mr. Sharian Raj, who is the co-founder and CEO of Senang Insurance. Co-founder and CEO of Senang Insurance. Aside from Senang Insurance, Sharian is actually currently connected with the NVS Group Malaysia, where he is managing director, and one of his main functions is the implementation of digitization in company subsidiaries. Okay, Sharian also holds a master's degree in international business. So for the first topic, Sharian, are you ready there? And could you proceed already?
Okay, thank you so much, Julio, for your introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope everyone is staying safe and staying happy in these very pandemic times. My name is Sharian, as spoken earlier. I'm one of the co-founders of Senang. Senang in English is called easy. So we want to make insurance very easy. We want to enable alternative channels to upsell insurance. What is alternative channels? Renovation companies, payment gateway companies, e-wallets, various types of channels that have a database that we want to upsell insurance. Next. Okay. For those who are not aware, the insurance industry in Southeast Asia is very, very much fragmented. When I mean fragmented, no one wakes up in the morning, as far as I know, no one wakes up in the morning thinking of buying insurance. I personally don't do that as well. And secondly, when someone buys the insurance, most of the time there's a lot of hidden clauses and terms, and they don't know what they're paying for. Thirdly, if you're an avid follower of the insurance technology industry, there's a lot of aggregators or online marketplace platforms. And lastly, the word on-demand insurance is not really much available. That means you can't buy insurance for a day, for a week, or for an hour, or for a minute. It's not something that's in the market right now. Next slide. So this is where we come in. We create technologies that enable alternative channels to upsell insurance for a short period of time related to the database. Mat Dispatch is a local delivery platform in Malaysia, similar to your Grab, your Lala Moves, your Gojeks. When a customer goes to the platform to make a booking from point A to point B, at the point of checkout, they can click on insurance. We just click of a button, they make payment. The policies are issued in 1.26 seconds. Customers makes a passive, customer can now purchase insurance with no questions asked, extremely frictionless. The partner Mat Dispatch makes a passive revenue from the insurance commission, and the insurance company can target a new industry. Next slide. Okay, thank you. We have close to 6 to 7 insurance companies integrated to our platform. The major multinationals such as Zurich, AXA, Allianz, and local insurance players are already integrated to our platform. Our partners, which I'll show you later, are multinational corporations, startups, SMEs, corporates, various types of partners that we have on board. And our customers are the low and middle income, the underserved players in the market who we are targeting through our partners database. Next. This is the types of products we offer. We can do very, very crazy products such as cleaning insurance, which is whereby if your cleaner damages the item, we cover the insurance for it. Lifestyle insurance, device insurance, vehicle insurance. And coming up, we want to do food spill insurance, foreign tenant insurance. There are various types of insurance policies. Next. As mentioned earlier, how we integrate, we have two types of integration. One is the API integration, which we have shown you earlier, and two is the merchant portal for corporates and for SMEs who don't have a tech team, who don't have a mobile app. We create a merchant portal for them to upload and make sales for insurance to their database. Next slide. And in terms of claims, for whatever products that we do, we have a claim portal. The claims are registered in just 3 steps. There's no hard copy of documents. Claims are monitored in 3 steps as well. So everything is done through the claim portal, extremely frictionless. Next slide. And these are our partners. We have more than what we have show you here. We have close to 60 partners, but these are major partners that are on board our platforms. We have the likes of one of the biggest e-wallet in Malaysia, BigPay, GHL, which is the leading payment gateway in Southeast Asia, TMT, which is Thundermatch, the leading IT retailer in Malaysia. We have successfully integrated to Petronas, which is one of the biggest Fortune 500 companies in the world, Zetio Express, which is one of the biggest logistic company in China as well, all integrated to our platform, selling different types of insurance to different type of market through different type of platforms. Next slide. And this is our key milestones. This is who we are, what we have done for the past 2.5 years. We were formed in August 2018, where we won the FinTech edition by the Malaysian government and got funded by the relevant venture capital. In June 2019, we were funded and won the award by United Nations and our local regulators. In March 2020, we were voted the top 50 InsurTech in Asia by IDC. In September 2020, we were selected to participate in the Google for SGD program. We are funded and backed by Cradle, a leading government agency, 137 Ventures, a leading venture capital, United Nations, NVS, my family business, and Google for startups. Next slide. In terms of competitive landscape, there's a lot of players in the market, as you are aware of, but what makes us very different is our ability to integrate to various types of devices. For example, we have integrated to a payment gateway device on the top right hand corner here, whereby with just one click, without keying in the identification number, the insurance policies are issued. Next slide. Next slide. You can skip this. And this is our team. Our team is bigger than this, but this is our core team. I've been in the insurance business since I was born. I was working in Allianz for close to 3 years as a management associate, then to various roles. Left and joined my family business where we had insurance on board as well. Had an idea to grow and to build a family business to get to the InsurTech space, and this is how Senang was formed. My other two co-founders are mainly on the tech, and they've been in the tech business for 12 to 20 years. That's all for me. Thank you so much, everyone.
Okay, thank you very much, Sharian. Okay, before we move into the second presentation by Michael, I was just informed that some of you find this presentation a bit small, and we apologize for that. Shine is trying to enlarge it, or maybe from your end, you could also try to enlarge your screen, but that is actually the standard size that we use for our presentation. So we apologize for the inconvenience, and I hope the next ones will be more visible. Okay. So yeah, you might try what I told you already, and still would like to apologize for the inconvenience if you find the screen quite small. Okay, so now we move to the second presentation, and for the second presentation, it is actually learning from Hong Kong's first virtual insurance company by Mr. Michael Chan. So just to give you a background on Mr. Michael, he is the co-founder and CEO of Bowtie Life Insurance Company, which is a mission-driven life and health insurer out of Hong Kong. It is Bowtie's mission to close the health protection gap in Hong Kong through simple and accessible protection. He is a serial entrepreneur and has previously founded Coherent Capital Advisors, an insurance technology company also, catalyzing digital transformation. He is also a fellow of the Society of Actuaries, a member of the Actuarial Society of Hong Kong, and a certified financial planner professional. As part of Mr. Michael's presentation, I think he will also touch on virtual regulation, which I think is something all of us will be interested. So, Michael, would you proceed with your presentation, please?
Sure, thank you. Next slide, please. Yeah, so I think I'll take the next 5 minutes or so just to quickly talk about our story here. It's a great pleasure to be here. I think like Sharia's story just now, I was also sort of born into the insurance industry. What you see on the slide here is actually something I showed the Hong Kong insurance regulator about 3 years ago. At the very top is sort of the consumer trust in different industries. And you can see at the very bottom here, and I didn't change the data, it's actually insurance and financial advisory ended up with the lowest trust amongst consumers. So being someone who's always worked in the insurance industry, I trained as an actuary in New York. This was actually quite sort of, hit close to heart. It's not something we're proud of. And it's really something I wanted to tackle. So how do you use technology? How do you change the paradigm of younger consumers engaging with insurance in a better way? So this was really the seed. We still believe insurance is fundamentally a good product. I think insurance is often a misunderstood product through the way we sell, through the way we design products. So Bowtie is really a response to that. And you'll see a lot of our actions are sort of coming from this initial insight. Next slide, please. Could you click one more time? I might as well just show it all. Yes, so Bowtie was the first to win a new insurance license out of Hong Kong in 2018. We launched in 2019, so we launched 3 months after the licensing. Something that's quite different is that we are actually a full insurance company. So we have a license, and I'll talk about the differences later. We own and manage our own balance sheet. So we write insurance risk and we keep it on the balance sheet. One of the requirements was that we actually build our own proprietary technology. And I'll talk about the license difference, but fundamentally we are a full insurance company. We were backed by Sun Life, so one of the largest multinational insurers. They're our shareholder controller with a 30 million Series A. And then we had previously had some other startup experience also on the insurance technology side. So we were pretty much a professional team, came from insurance, worked on technology for a few years. Hong Kong put out a change, a new license was given out. The Hong Kong regulator wanted to see more change, wanted to see alternative distribution channels, wanted to see more proprietary technology. So in total, they gave out 4 licenses, and Bowtie was the first to win the license. Next slide, please. Just quickly talk about the licenses. This might be interesting for some of the regulatory people on the call. The main restriction is actually on the distribution channel. So we're not so to speak, allowed to use conventional agents, brokers, and banks. We can work with digital versions of that, so digital brokers or virtual banks. Hong Kong also gave out new licenses, so we have 8 virtual banks that were launched in the last year. But other than that restriction on distribution channels, we really are subject to the same requirements. So we have the same regulatory requirements on solvency, on capital, on asset requirements, on how you make investments, on how you design products. Those are all the same. One interesting tweak is that for long-term licenses, so life insurers particularly, if you're a shareholder controller, the Hong Kong regulator required it to be a well-established insurer that's already under supervision by an equivalent authority. So in our case, it was Sun Life Hong Kong. It's a very safe insurer, has a very long track record, a very good track record, very strong compliance and established standards that we could leverage from. So we could focus on the technology side, while the regulator could trust that we had effective controls on the back end. So this is just a 1-minute overview of that new licensing regime. Next slide, please. Okay, in terms of the product, very much like what Sharia mentioned just now, it's a fully online product. We focus on health insurance. So it's the end-to-end, how do people discover what product to buy? How do people understand what product they need? Just some basic needs analysis, understanding the products, doing the entire health underwriting, and then the entire servicing and claims also digitally on the back end. So to the customer side, the proposition is actually very simple. It's an online health insurance experience. On the back end, obviously, it's much more complicated. You have all the administration system operations, and all of our technology is actually built in-house. So the underwriting engines, the operation systems, those were actually built by our own internal tech team here. Next slide, please. Just moving on, just a quick summary of where we are. We've had about 2 years of operations. So far, things have been growing very fast. Month over month, we've just seen sort of an untapped demand. Online in Hong Kong is still a relatively, I wouldn't say it's a new concept, but it's definitely a nascent concept. It hasn't picked up much traction before. But right now, we are number 2 in terms of direct channel selling, in terms of number of policies. We reached over $1 billion in insurance coverage. So this is something we're particularly proud of, particularly since our mission is actually to help close the protection gap. So Hong Kong, like most other markets, has a very large mortality protection gap, has a very large morbidity protection gap. So we actually measure our KPIs not so much in terms of dollar premiums, although those are important for sustainability, but actually how much insurance coverage have we delivered for the market. And so far we've been delivering very well on that. Next slide, please. And yeah, so that actually concludes. There's obviously a lot more learnings in these 2 years. I could go in a lot more detail afterwards. But I just want to share our internal mission. It's something we don't really publicize to the public, but really internally we use this term, make insurance good again. It's the fundamental belief that insurance is a good product, but oftentimes we need to go back to its protection roots, and we think technology and digital is a way to get back to just fundamental distribution challenges of protection products. So that concludes my presentation. Could you do the next slide? I think I have some contact details here if anyone wants to reach out. But yeah, thank you, and happy to answer any questions after this.
Okay, thank you very much, Michael. I'm pretty sure some questions will be sent your way. And now we move on to the third and last presentation. And for this, as I mentioned, we have a team presentation from Etherisk with Mr. Michel Berende, the Chief Inclusive Officer of Etherisk, and Mr. Jan Stockhausen, the Chief Legal Architect, at Etherisk. So I think without further ado, I'd like Michel and Jan to already take the floor and give their presentation on their blockchain journey. Michel, Jan?
Yes, good morning and good afternoon to everybody in Asia. It is nice to see that there are some familiar names among the participants. I hope to be meeting you all in person again soon. Okay, so next slide, please. As I said, my name is Michiel Berende, and together with my partner Jan Stockhausen, I'm responsible for all the projects that are related to inclusive insurance or impact insurance within the Etherisk ecosystem. And well, who are we? We have developed an insurance protocol that allows insurtechs to automate insurance products based on blockchain technology. And various parties around the globe could work together on providing these kind of insurance products. What we do, we offer the underlying protocol to offer insurance products. And Jan will talk about that in a minute. ETHRisk is most known for its parametric insurance products and flight delay insurance, which was the first fully blockchain-based insurance product developed, and weather index insurance. And weather index insurance, that is the topic that we, of course, will discuss today. Next slide, please. Yeah, although this time it is virtually, I'm very happy to be here again at a MEFIN event. A few years ago, in 2018, I was asked by GIZ RFPY to give a workshop on blockchain technology for inclusive insurance, and that was during the PPD5 event in Sri Lanka. And since then, actually quite a lot has happened. And really, I'd like to give the credits also thanks to this network that we were also introduced to Oxfam in Sri Lanka and Sri Lankan Insurance Sanasa. And they were actually the first ones, together with broker Aon, who were willing to pilot blockchain insurance or blockchain technology for crop insurance. We proved that the technology worked, and we sold the first policies in June 2019. But today I'd like to focus on our project that we're working on in Africa, together with Acre Africa. We are doing this at a much larger scale right now. And we've been developing a plan to roll this project out actually for quite a while. And thanks to the support from blockchain giants Chainlink and Ethereum Foundation, we were able to start off the project. Later, we also received support from Mercy Corps, and very recently, also the Swiss Development Corporation and the Climate Ledger Initiative have joined us in our initiative to develop a completely end-to-end solution for weather index insurance. Next slide, please. But before I'm going to dive into this project, I want to briefly dive into what is blockchain technology. It could be a very long topic. I'll try to keep it as short and simple as possible. What this technology makes possible is to share information and the relevant information openly between the various parties in real time. So as you know, in insurance and in agriculture insurance, you're depending on various aspects, weather data, your clients, the insurers, the reinsurers. Thanks to blockchain technology, you can share this kind of information in real time, but no party can manipulate this data. And because of that, you can create an immutable audit trail. And all parties will work with the same information. So what blockchain makes possible, it gives you a single source of truth. And this really increases the transparency and trust between parties. Actually, you can create a trustless environment. So thanks to this technology, it also becomes possible to program money. And that is something that we call a smart contract, which is actually, and I always give the example of a vending machine, which is in essence a smart contract. You have a machine, you can select a product, and if you put in enough money, then automatically the product comes out. And here, the person behind the counter is being replaced by a machine. So this is similar also to a smart contract. Next slide, please. So if you would apply a smart contract in insurance or in crop insurance, now you could create a smart contract that automatically receives weather data from sensors or from weather stations and satellites. And based on the triggers, it can execute payments in real time without the need for human interaction. Meaning a farmer doesn't need to contact the insurer to tell them that he has a claim, and the insurer doesn't need to go in the field to verify if a claim has occurred. And this drastically increases the speed of transactions. And we have been making calculations with support also with Climate Finance Lab, is that the transaction cost can be reduced, and the cost of policy issuance and claims processing can be reduced by 41%. And also the premium reduction might go to 30%. And what is also very interesting, also specifically for farmers, the claim cycles can be reduced from 3 to 6 months to 1 week. All right. So how we are doing this in the field, that is something that Jan will talk about right now. So Jan, and the floor is yours. Jan, I think your mic is on mute.
Oh, sorry. All right, sorry. Okay, once again, this chart shows how the operations are set up around the solution. So our partner on the ground, ACA Africa, is a licensed insurance services provider with 1.7 million policies sold. They are the largest player focusing on agricultural microinsurance in sub-Saharan Africa. They do all the work of an insurance company. They develop the products and they have the distribution network, etc. But they do not have an actual insurance license, and they do not manage their own risk capital. So they will always work together with a licensed insurance provider to front their business. EasterRisk provides and maintains the blockchain platform and helps to turn traditional insurance policies into what we call insurance smart contracts. The weather data can be fed into the smart contracts in real time from weather stations or weather data services providers like Fandasat. They use then in this particular case, we use the weather data from the ARC2 weather data satellite. When the smart contract then detects that a certain threshold is met, payments are triggered automatically and they're paid directly to the farmer's phone through the mobile payment network of M-Pesa. So this is how this works. Next slide, please. So based on this, on our technology and ACA Africa's existing business, we've submitted an application to join the regulatory sandbox of the Kenyan regulator. The initial discussions have gone very well. They're quite positive and we're hopeful to be accepted there. This would allow us to operate under a special status in the market to test the solution. Our hope would be that this enables us to prove to the regulators that the transparency and the technical security of smart contracts and our blockchain platform could, to a certain extent, replace the security mechanisms that are usually provided through regulation. This might be particularly attractive in the context of very small ticket insurances or wherever you use parametric insurance solutions. The legislative initiatives like the Kenya microinsurance policy paper show us that also the regulators have started to identify the need for a light touch approach regarding microinsurance regulation. We've also received a hopeful message from the German regulator in this context. With regard to our flight delay product in Germany, they took the view that this product would not need to be regulated, provided that we meet a certain minimum, a number of minimum conditions. So that's an interesting approach to take. We believe that this discussion overall will become particularly interesting when smart contracts and blockchain technology are not only used to manage the process or manage to process the policies, but also to dynamically manage the risk pools which hold the necessary capital to cover a certain product. That's where I think a lot of the potential lies. Our journey has, of course, not always been easy. Our main problem, I would say, is that we suffer from what some people refer to as the innovation gap. Most people who hear about our solution are really interested and blown away and see a lot of potential in the approach we're taking. But then when push comes to shove, a few or very few only want to be the first one trying this out in the market. This can make discussions for us very difficult. Oh, sorry. Next slide, please. So yes, sorry, excuse me. Yeah, so like I was saying, the problem that the suffering from the innovation gap makes the discussion sometimes regarding grant funding and especially also investment makes it a bit difficult. We would have wished to work maybe closer together with some of the larger insurance players in the market, but they're also quite reluctant to expose themselves to new technologies at such an early stage. So we've not really been so successful apart from our partnership in Sri Lanka with Aon. Blockchain technology is obviously very closely related to cryptocurrencies, and there's a lot of misinformation about the risks involved in cryptocurrencies, which sometimes causes misunderstandings about blockchain technology as well, and we have a lot of clarifying to do, and this hampers our efforts sometimes. Lastly, unfortunately, also technical innovation happens at a much greater speed than regulatory developments happen, and it takes time for regulation to catch up. So we're always very interested in conversations with regulators who see the potential of technological innovation and who would maybe consider replacing certain regulatory mechanisms with technology solutions. There's of course a lot more that we could say about this solution. It's a fairly complex business case, but this is all we have time for today, I'm afraid. I leave it here and open the floor to a few questions, hopefully.
Okay, thank you very much, Michelle and Jan, for your presentation. Okay, so now we go to the question and answer portion, and I'd just like to find out if there are any already questions sent via chat. We have from Miss Yulin Chu, and the question is, well, I'll just read the entire thing. Thanks, Alex. Hi, all. To Sharia and Michael. To what extent do you find yourselves competing with traditional distribution channels, e.g. physical direct or agents for customers? Who would you say is your usual customer profile? I think that question is directed to Sharian and to Michael. So please, Sharian first.
First of all, thank you, Yulin, for the question. Appreciate it. So in terms of first competing with a traditional distribution channel, I don't believe it's very applicable in this case, because if you look at it based on the products that we've done and the partners that we integrated, all the products that we have launched with our relevant distribution partners, it's something that is new in the market. They don't have that product before, and it was not served by an agent before. So this is where we don't compete with them, but we complement by doing micro insurance via technology. In terms of our customer profile, it's really low and middle income, but it very much differs based on the partners that we onboard. For example, certain partners, e-wallets, they have a much more younger lifestyle, and certain companies such as renovation companies, they have a very older mindset of customer base. So it depends very much on the partnership customers. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Sharian. And Michael, it's your turn.
Yeah, so I think our case is somewhat different from Sharian. So because our product is actually something that's already on the market, I should have mentioned that Hong Kong had a new health insurance scheme where it's tax deductible. So it's regulated and standardized by the government. and we're one of the first participants in that product. So our product is definitely competing against traditional distribution channels. And just in general, the online distribution of all insurance products is very, very small. So we do see our main competitors as traditional insurers and their distribution channels. One thing we do find quite interesting is that after we've gone out with such a public speak of protection products or the benefits of these products, we've actually seen traditional distribution channels and traditional insurers change their branding and marketing quite a lot. So a couple of them have launched online channels. Their advertising has also changed tone. We noticed that quite obviously. So it's been a good experience. I think it met the regulators' expectation that we would catalyze industry change towards the direction that they wanted to see. And then in terms of the usual customer profile, we definitely get more young and professional types. So if you look at, for example, the industry that our customers work in, it's actually finance and technology. So literally fintech. I think it's just naturally these people would be the first to understand and first to test out a new distribution channel.
Okay, so thank you very much, Michael and Sharian again. Now, the next question, actually, it's more of a comment or a suggestion from Mr. Sandy Reyes, and it's directed to Jan. It may make sense to collaborate with national reinsurers for them to make the technology more accessible to individual insurers. Your thoughts on here, Jan?
Yeah, that's correct, I would say. We're doing that actually in our next project, which we have in the pipeline, where we're working together with a larger reinsurance company, and sort of, yeah, if you want to take a very positive outlook on how certain sandbox programs could go, of course, our hope would also be that to a certain extent we would be able to basically help companies like our partner Eco Africa to become an insurance company themselves based on the technology and with some investment so that they can have their own reinsurance arrangements. But yeah, I mean, we definitely, this is totally true. Sandy is absolutely right there.
Okay. Thank you very much, Jan. And the next question is from my colleague, Dante Portula, and it goes, the business case of Malaysia and Hong Kong are impressive. Can both speakers share about their respective challenges and lessons on regulations of being a fully digital solution, etc.? So maybe we could focus on the challenges and lessons on regulation. And I'd like to call for this one first, Michael, to give his experiences, actually. So Michael, please.
Yeah, so we were sort of the first, and we just came out, I think, without an entire ecosystem built around us. So if you typically think of the traditional insurance value chain, maybe you have the distribution channel, agents, brokers, banks, and then you have a lot of support systems around them, and then you have the insurer, and then you have all these financial planning tools, etc. So when you go for a fully digital solution, a lot of that surrounding ecosystem hasn't been built up yet. And a lot of the regulations around the surrounding ecosystem are still based on the old model. So I think our biggest challenge has actually been, as we start bringing in new pieces of the value chain or new pieces of the ecosystem, oftentimes the regulations weren't written with that in mind. And so it does require quite a lot of time being spent with regulators, with different parties within the system. So there's always different partners that are interested to reach out and try to work with you. But having said that, we are, a life insurance product that's subject to a lot of KYC, AML rules that were written on sort of a traditional mindset, or traditionally how would this product be explained and sold. So I think that's really just been the biggest challenge. The regulators are catching up with a lot more guidelines or FAQ questions without necessarily changing the underlying insurance ordinance, has been our experience. But the clarifications are coming out has been very helpful.
Oh, sorry. Oh, okay, sorry for that. And are you finished, Michael?
Yes, thank you.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So thank you very much. So basically, your answer is practically the same as the challenge that was mentioned by Jan a while ago, which is the regulators trying to cope up with the technological advancements. So I think it's just in the same context. And now I'd like to hear from Sharian the challenges and lessons that he faced.
Thank you for the question. Appreciate it. So I think the challenges that we face is very similar to Mr. Botai and Mr. Jan's challenges as well. But I think in the case of Malaysia, it's ×2. For example, if it takes them 6 months to engage a regulator, it takes us 1 year to engage a regulator. So all the problems they have, just times it by 2, and then you know the issues we are facing. That's all from me.
Oh, okay. So yes, thank you very much for that, Sharian. And so we have time for 2 more questions. The next question is from Mr. Alexander Yeager. And actually, this is the same question I had in mind. So thanks so much for the interesting presentation. Why do you think the insurance industry is reluctant to join hands? And the question goes to Jan.
Well, I have only a partial answer for this because we are asking ourselves the same question sometimes. But I would say the best answer I can give is that insurance companies are normally very, very large sort of entities, and they are slow to move and slow to react to innovation. Although, of course, they always like to say that they're very innovative and agile. But the reality is that they are very risk adverse, and that they are not necessarily a big corporation doesn't move that fast. So they are very keen to learn, and we've had many discussions with them. But the outcome was, or the actual products we could, the actual product projects we could take from these conversations and develop them. There were only few occasions where this worked out. So yeah, I ask myself the same question, and of course I would love to be proven wrong. If big insurance companies want to speak to us and see how they can get involved, we're very, very open to the discussion.
Okay, so I think that answers the question. And the last one for today from my colleague also, Jimmy Loro. And the question is to Etheris. So both Jan and Michelle could answer this question. What is your comment on the issue on high requirement for energy or electricity to run blockchain? Same case for cryptocurrency. Does the impact of blockchain service in insurance justify the energy requirement, especially in the context of climate change? So Jan and Michelle?
Sure. I'm of course not surprised by this question. I think it is actually even more in the news now for those who are following the crypto community a little bit more now, with the comments being made by Elon Musk and Tesla not accepting Bitcoin anymore as a payment because of the impact Bitcoin has on the climate. I think one way of saying is that Bitcoin is not the blockchain that we're working with. I think Bitcoin is the dinosaur in the blockchain space. It's the first one. We are building our solutions on top of the Ethereum blockchain. And I try to keep this answer as short as possible. So you have 2 different ways of maintaining and running a blockchain. One is proof of work, and the other one is proof of stake. So the Bitcoin blockchain is a proof of work blockchain. So where you have thousands of computers processing information and making calculations and doing the mining operations. And this is what consumes a lot of energy. And then you have proof of stake, which is a different kind of technology that requires a fraction of the energy that then proof of work costs. And Ethereum is also taking this approach. So right now there's an upgrade happening within the Ethereum blockchain, but they are migrating from proof of work to proof of stake. And that also then will immediately solve the issue of the impact it has on the climate. So perhaps look into that kind of technologies. Hope that answers the question.
Okay, so yeah, I think, oh yeah, there's one more, and I think this will be the very last, and it's directed to Michelle from, again, from Dante Portula. I'm thrilled to hear that blockchain is making good progress since we discussed the topic in Sri Lanka. Looking forward to your sandboxing experience and lessons in Africa. More of a comment, and just want to hear from you, Michelle.
Yeah, hi Dante. Very good to see you again. And yes, I think in the next weeks we will be able also to share some of our experiences. Actually, we are releasing a video in the coming week, and I think also right now we're running the season in Kenya. You have the long range season. So the first payments, claims payments, are expected to be made in the next couple of months. And I think, and hopefully, for example, at one of the next events, we will be able also to present the outcomes and also demonstrate what we're doing in terms of increased speed of payments and also increased uptake. So we are measuring it, and we are looking also for opportunities to present this also to larger audiences.
Okay, thank you. So just a follow-up. Okay, just a follow-up, and this will really be the last. From Alexander Yeager. He says, thanks for the response. I could also imagine that you inherently threaten the carved out processes, procedures / value chains within traditional insurers, and this may not be received very well overall within these organizations. At least that was the point that a CEO of a German life and non-life insurer made a few days back in a bilateral exchange. So I think this is in relation to the first question that Alexander asked. So maybe Jan, you could give a short response to this one.
Yes. I think this relates to the question regarding the work together or cooperation with big insurance companies. This is, I would say, it's certainly the technology that we have and the whole phenomenon of blockchain technology and smart contracts has some disruptive potential, which can, of course, also affect some of the business models that are established in the insurance industry. So there is that, I think if we look back, blockchain as a phenomenon, I would say is very comparable to internet. If we think back to the early days of the internet in the 90s, or maybe a little bit later, there were also companies like Skype, for example, but it wasn't the Vodafones or the Oranges of this world who invested into Skype, but and their business models got heavily disrupted. So I think it's probably for large insurance companies, it's probably a good idea to stay close to new technology rather than seeing it as a threat. It probably would be embracing it. You can win more from it, from embracing it than you have to lose, I think.
Okay, thank you for that. And that's the last one. Thank you to our panelists for giving their clear answers to the questions or the comments raised. So Shine, please. So before we go to the closing, we just like to do a Menti survey. And for this one, you could use the QR code if you're using especially a mobile, or you could just go to the link that Shine just shared a while ago. Please use whatever you're comfortable with. The Menti survey actually will be our basis for some sort of an evaluation and also a basis for potential future offerings. So is everybody ready? Okay, the first question is, comes and goes. Okay. Oh, so yeah. Of course, first question is, as COVID-19 continue to demand adjustments in business models from insurers, what do you think should be the focus of the industry this year? So we're getting answers already. It's very good. So there's remote working. Oops. Shine. Ah, okay. Anyway. So we see the answers. There's transparency to consumer, simplifying products, digitalization, digital solutions, building trust, digitization, protection gap. Okay. So I think the area related to digital solutions is the one that's most commented here. Okay, so they're getting some more. Okay, I think that's it. Thank you. Oops. Yeah, we could move on to the next one. Question 2 is, looking exclusively at insurance technology, give at least 2 aspects of your business that a regulator should focus their support on. So, okay, open answers again on 2 aspects that regulator should focus on. So, okay. Again, transparency is coming in. Blockchain technology. Aspects related to digitalization and digitization are also present. Technologies such as sandboxes. And as far as regulation is concerned, clearer guidelines. Okay. Are we getting some more? Yes, so digitalization and transparency are there. Okay. So thank you. Let's move on to the next one. Question 3 is, based on the discussions, what do you think are the drivers for the growth of InsurTech in the insurance industry? We have the first answer, which is customer choice. Transparency again is coming up. Ability to reach scale, that's true, yeah. Digitalization and investments by platforms. There are now more players in the industry, sorry. Proof of scale, okay. I think it's related to ability to reach scale. How about existing products and of the impact of COVID on person-to-person transactions? Also very true. Again, investments mentioned here. Consumer demand for more convenience and the awareness of customers. Okay, I think we could move on to the last question. So for future offerings, what topics in InsurTech would you want to be further discussed? Cost efficiency, experiences from other markets, quality of products in the digitized environment, learnings of applying blockchain technology for insurance. Okay. Customers' feedback so far, I think, in relation to the use of InsurTech. Actual business cases and lessons learned. Blockchain technology. Ensuring customers get value with short-term policies. So more of the 1 month or shorter, and digital platforms and how it works and the involvement of regulators. That's very good. Regulations tied up to that. Exclusionary effects and digital literacy issues. Oh, yeah. Digital bank. Okay. So, steps in sandboxing. Okay. Okay. So, yeah, I think we had your answers already. Okay. Different market segments adoption for InsurTech. Okay, so thank you very much for your answers to our mentee. This will be very helpful. Okay. And now we move on to the final part of the webinar. And we'd like to call on Mr. Wasim Khan to give the closing remarks for the webinar. Mr. Khan is the Director of Policy, Regulation and Development, Insurance Division of the Securities and Exchange Commission of Pakistan, or SECP. So, Mr. Khan, you have the floor.
Sure, thank you. On behalf of the MEFIN Regional Steering Committee Chair, Mr. Hasnath Ahmed, I thank you for participating in the 26th episode of the Tuesdays with MEFIN webinar, which focused on a very interesting and a very relevant topic today, the topic on InsurTech innovations. Special thanks to our resource speaker from Senengs, Otai, and Ethersik, who shared their respective innovations, which I believe are very relevant to the roles of the regulators and to the needs of the insurers, especially during this period of pandemic. Thanks also to the supporters of the MEFIN, like our partners such as Access to Insurance Initiative, or A2II, who helped us identify resource speakers for this particular episode of the Tuesdays with MEFIN. With everyone's support, MEFIN will continue to serve as a platform for exchange of knowledge and experience, not only for its members, but for all who are in microinsurance, inclusive insurance, and climate and disaster risk insurance. Thank you, and see you again in the next episode of Tuesdays with MEFIN.
Thank you very much, Mr. Khan. And so that formally ends our webinar. But before we go, I'd like to thank our 4 panelists, Sharian, Michael, Michelle, and Yan, for sharing their time and their expertise to us. We hope that you could join us again and that we could tap your expertise for future initiatives or activities. And for participants, also, we'd like to thank you for taking time and to participate in our webinar. And we hope to see you again in future webinars. So yeah, have a pleasant day and please stay safe. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, everyone. Bye-bye. Ronnie, thank you.
Oh,
Good job.
Dan, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Bye-bye. Stay safe.
Thank you. Stay safe. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.